Well, a very good evening to you, race fans. Welcome back once again to Simple Racing Broadcast, and welcome, of course, to Round 7 of the Alliance Sim Racing Gard Supercar Championship, proudly supported, as always, by Gard, St. Gobain, Quantum Tint Solutions, and AA West Automotive. Tonight, we are at Suzuka Circuit, a venue that is both iconic and incredibly technical. And I don't know about you, but I can't wait to see some Gen 3 supercars get punted around this track. It's one that will present a range of challenges to the drivers, from the Degner curves through the hairpin and, of course, that flat-out blast through 130R. It's a flowing track. It's one of the few true figure 8 circuits in the world, and it's one that I always look forward to visiting in any given season. My name is Jared Cole. It's great to be here with you this evening once again, and with me in the commentary booth for the first time in a couple of weeks, I'm sure, it's Isaac Fogarty. G'day, Isaac.
Good evening, Jared. I feel like I was in last week for ASR, so I feel like It
feels like forever ago, mate.
It feels like forever. A lot's happened between now and last Tuesday, I feel. I almost feel like we've had an entire off-season with everything that's happened. You know, the 12-hour on the weekend, that was very exciting, wasn't it? But now we get to sit back and relax on a Tuesday night and watch some supercars, as you said, sort of biff and barge their way around Suzuka, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how these cars tackle this circuit tonight. It's a very tricky layout, a very flowing circuit, and these cars are going to have a pretty tough time, I think, trying to keep it on the road in a side-by-side battle. But I'm looking forward to it.
The good news for a lot of these drivers, though, is that Suzuka does have a lot more of your standard style supercar overtaking opportunities, with some heavy braking zones, a couple of nice little hairpins, and of course those long runs where you can start to get a move done. I think we're going to see some pretty tight battles tonight. It's not a particularly wide circuit across most of a lap here, and I think these guys will be going pretty hard at it side by side. We've got 2 races this evening. Once again, race 1 will be 10 laps of Suzuka, followed by 25 laps, of course, a reverse top 10 grid for that second race, with 2 compulsory pit stops. Not expecting there to be any issues with fuel, with the 70% fuel limit, but it will be all about timing. And I tell you what, last week, timing was absolutely the name of the game. We saw some pretty incredible turnarounds based purely on pit strategy.
Yeah, look, I think the pit strategy last week really caught us out on a few different drivers, and really just threw some other names into the mix, didn't it? I'm really looking forward to hopefully that taking place again this evening. Obviously, the 2 compulsory pit stops. We saw Matt Vanderkram last week really time those pit stops to perfection with when the safety car came out, and really just get himself back into that race after being pretty well sort of struggling early on, I should say, with being at the back end of the top 10. So looking forward to seeing maybe someone else could pull that off tonight. We could see a similar fashion, but I think we got some names back this week that we were missing last week. So hopefully it's going to be even more competitive up the pointy end of the field.
And just quietly speaking of Matt Vanderkran, I've just taken a quick glance at the qualifying times as qualifying reaches about the halfway mark in the background. Wayne Walker and Matt Vanderkran are both a 2-minute 5:53. Exactly level down to the hundredths. There'll be thousandth in that, I'm sure, but of course still a little way to go before we see just how close that is. Let's take a look before we get to the start of race 1 at the championship standings coming into this week. And Wayne Walker has, look, his lead out in front is not running away like perhaps we expected earlier in the season, but it is still looking more and more unlikely that anyone's going to catch him. Matt Vanderkran really the only driver with a shot at this point, and he's still 117 points behind I can't see there being a lot of change at the top end of this leaderboard, but of course, including tonight, there's still 4 races to go, so it's not over yet. Mark Point and Jason Bentz still have a lot to figure out for that third step of the podium. And behind them, Stephen Varga is in a real no man's land all on his own. He's a fair way back from 4th and a fair way ahead of Jim Caparonis in 6th, so I'd almost think that Vargas has probably got 5th pretty well locked down. Caparonis, Rushworth and Ryan Palmer in 6th, 7th and 8th are all relatively closely packed. And then another man in no man's land as well, Mick Clifton, has a bit of breathing room either side of him before you reach Luke Allman. And the surprise packet this week for me, Rick Vigar. Tell you what, didn't last week help him out. He's jumped all the way up to 11th and actually leads the Cup Trophy at the moment by just the slightest margin. 1 point in it ahead of Lorne McKee now. And Andrew Listener, 892 points. So the top 3 for the Cup Trophy, very, very hotly contested, Isaac.
Yeah, it's very hotly contested indeed, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how that continues to unfold. I think Wayne Walker, as you said, it's going to be hard to beat him from here. Matt Vanderkran's going to do his best and throw everything at him, as Matt Vanderkran always does, but it's going to be a huge effort. There was no Wayne Walker last week, which is why Matt Vanderkran's been able to close the gap slightly, because Wayne Walker's championship deficit now moves to a 0 next to his name. His drop round moves to a 0 next to his name, rather than what he would have had in the previous, which was, I think, was a couple hundred points. So he did technically get points last week, even though he didn't show up. But if he misses another round or has a bad round from here on in, it's got to stick. So Wayne Walker, we know he can be consistent, but he really has to be, and I'm sure he'll probably be feeling the pressure a little bit in the next few rounds to try and stay in form and ahead of Matt Vanderkran to really secure that championship. And you look further afield, you've got a couple other drivers down there. So Dean Logsdale right down the order. I think he's missed quite a few. He's missed 1 or 2 rounds now, I think. Same with Jamie Dyke. And then you've got a couple other drivers in that AM Cup the AM Trophy class, the Cup Trophy. I'm getting confused by the name. I think it's the Cup Trophy class that it's called. We got Glenn Boyce, Ernie Toth, Abel Verbaum, James Hardy, and Jason Dunn, all inside that top 30. Scott Perrins rounding out that top 30. It's very competitive inside that Cup Trophy class, isn't it? I'm really excited by the fact that we've got so many guys in that class that are so close together on points, which means it can go either way.
Yeah, so there's still plenty of fight left in this championship. It's not all done and dusted, despite that number 1 spot looking set to stay with Wayne Walker at this stage. Look, stranger things have happened, for sure. It's not a completely unbeatable lead just yet, but it is certainly getting closer and closer to that point as we approach the end of the season. Speaking of ends, we're only about 30-odd seconds away from the end of qualifying here this evening. I can tell you that from our timings, Wayne Walker and Matt Vanderkran still have not bettered those times, so they are locked in level timing. We'll be interested to see when we get the grid officially in about 15 seconds or so, just how close that was. I suspect Walker might have pipped him by 1,000th or 2. But that's about all we'll have in it at the start of race number 1. Luke Allman joins us in the chat here on YouTube. G'day, Luke. Good to have you along. Even if you aren't racing tonight, mate, I do hope that you're enjoying the coverage. And if you are picking this up over on Twitch, then jump on over to YouTube, where you'll get a full 4K broadcast instead of the limited Twitch broadcast, which, is never a bad thing. Let's take a look at the grid for race number 1. Wayne Walker. Wow, look at that. It's actually 0,000th in it. So Walker has taken pole, but it's by less than 1,000th of a second to Matt Vanderkran. That is phenomenally tight at the top end of the field. Mark Point and Jim Caparonis just behind. Then Jason Bentz and Andrew Rushworth ahead of Lorne McKee and Stephen Varga, with Damon Fisher and Trav Daly rounding out your top 10 here tonight at Suzuka. Troy Stonestreet and James Hardy behind them. Then Mick Clifton and Andrew Listener ahead of Brad Grant and Craig Schulz. Scott Perrins and Ryan Palmer line up on row 9. Then Todd Martin and Brian Borg rounding out your 20. Good to see Borg back in it again this week. Dave Galley and Ernie Toth behind them. Then Brad Hayes and Abel Verban ahead of Glenn Boyce and Jamie McKnight. Rick Vigar and Troy Sipple, 27th and 28th. The two admins right alongside each other. And then Craig Rose and Ash Hall rounding out the 30, getting a little bit of little bit of advice from Jamie Dyke in the chat that Wayne Walker was holding back there. Why not? Why not? G'day, Brad. G'day, Phil. Good to have you along. Behind them, Jason Dunn and Mick Wright ahead of David Logsdale, Andrew Hoffman and Vince Salvatore not setting a time. Tim Nicol will once again be behind the wheel of the Chubby Buns safety car this evening. Look, I don't know about Suzuka. It's one of those tracks where you never can quite tell what you're going to get in terms of safety cars. So I think we'll just have to bite our tongue and wait and see what actually happens out there on track. And with no further ado, let's go on down to the start line. Isaac, it's going to be a bit of a drag race, I reckon, to turn one. Let's see what happens for Walker and Van der Kraan, shall we?
Yeah, really looking forward to what's going to happen here at turn one. Obviously, Jamie Dyke feeling like maybe Wayne Walker's holding back a little bit what his real true pace is. So I guess over this next 10 laps, we're really going to find out, aren't we? Just what he can do. And it's not a super long lap. It's a pretty long circuit, but it doesn't feel like a massively long lap around here. So I feel like this time will go by pretty quickly. And if you're Matt Van der Kraan, you definitely want to get a good start, because if you're stuck behind someone like Wayne Walker off the start, or you even lose a spot to one of the guys behind you that sweep around the outside into turn one, you definitely could find those 10 laps going bit quicker than you would hope they would, and the time going through, and all of a sudden you're still in third or fourth, which might serve you well starting ahead of your rival for the race later on, but points matter this weekend.
Yeah, they absolutely do, and every point counts from here till the end of the season. There's really not a lot left in it after tonight, so be interesting to see just what we end up with. We're just getting the last of the cars onto the grid down at the back end of things, all the way down at the back end of this very, very long straight at Suzuka. Waiting on the green flag being waved at the back of the grid. Todd Martin onto the grid as the last car. That's it. We are gridding up and ready to go here for race number one. 10 laps lie ahead. Wayne Walker and Matt Van der Kraan set to lead us away. The lights go out, the clutch drops, and we are off towards turn one. And a pretty good start all round. A fair bit of smoke in the background, but everyone away fairly tidily down towards the first turn. Wayne Walker leads them into it, and I think a pretty safe start all around. We're not seeing too much of an issue, although further back, look at the field stacking up on the way through turn one. We're going 3 and 4 wide as we try and sort out racing line. Ryan Palmer's getting a fair bit of a nudge there. And look, we've survived it, but I'm not quite sure how. Back up at the front of the field, Wayne Walker, Matt Van der Kraan, Mark Point, and Jim Caparonis all retaining their starting positions. Andrew Rushworth and Lon McKee getting a couple of spots as Jason Bentz was a little bit slow off the line. And here we go through the snake. And we look like we're almost into racing line. Look at all those quantum cars coming through together at the back of the pack. But Walker leads us out, and the cars will now start to make their way through some of the more technical sections where they want to eat up all of these curbs if possible. And away we go towards the hairpin for the first time. What are we going to get here? Is anyone going to make a move on lap one, or are we going to try and get settled in?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? Does someone go for a move here? You can see a couple drivers thinking about it, going defensive, a little bit of a lock up there from one of the 266 sim racing cars. And he's managed to pull it up before anyone really ran into the back of Ryan Palmer. I don't want to put him in a situation where he may not have been in. Up the inside goes Jason Bentz on Lon McKee, so that's the spot done. Lon McKee's going to look to come back at him here up the inside into the second phase of Spoon Corner, and he actually does get it done. So Lon McKee's back ahead of Jason Bentz, so that's a lovely switchback move. In the first phase of that corner, Jason Bentz would have felt like he had that move done and dusted, but Lon McKee has said, actually, I'm going to just get the better drive off the second phase of this corner, and I'll come back up the inside if you don't mind. And now Jason Bentz has to go to work again. He looks to the inside into the chicane, and he should have it done this time. A couple cars grabbing the inside front on the run into the chicane as well, as everybody sorts themselves out, and they're still side by side by the looks of it, Jason Bentz and Lon McKee. It's still going on between these, so they have not resolved this issue as of yet. And as we run towards turn one, who's going to come out on top here? Jason Bentz, I think, has this one all sorted. Lon McKee has a little bit of a think about carrying around the outside. This is Ryan Palmer side by side with Brad Hayes and squeezes him there. Ryan Palmer might feel a little bit like he was run out of road there, but I think it was all's fair in love and supercars, I guess, in that situation. And Ryan Palmer have to settle in behind for now, but didn't get the start he wanted. There was a little bit of smoke off the back of the grid, so potentially maybe a bit of a rough start off the line for Ryan Palmer, who's actually known for getting pretty good starts in these cars. So if that was an unfortunate start for Ryan Palmer, then he'll be pretty frustrated with that, but he's got a bit of work to do. From 21st place on our screen at the moment, Andrew Listener. He's got Todd Martin in behind for company, but there's a nice little battle here. This is it looks like on your screen, it looks like it's first in the Cup Trophy class, but Law McKee is just sort of leagues ahead of this guy into the gravel trap for Brad Hayes. So tried to hang around the outside of Ryan Palmer and found himself running wide into the gravel trap. He's going to lose a bunch of position. He's now side by side with James Hardy on the run in towards this the first hairpin. And we've got cars around in the background as well. There's multiple cars that have made contact. That's off the road for one of the Chubby Buns cars. There's a Quantum car facing the same way, and out of sympathy, the Chubby Buns car rotates to face the wrong way on circuit as well. But I think everyone's got going. That's Andrew Hoffman on screen.
Just gets it locked Craig up Rose. A little. Yeah, it looks like Craig Rose. I think he might have collected him on the way through. Perhaps Hoffman just locked the brakes up there and just found himself a bit stuck. And I think Craig Rose probably just caught him. Trey Stone Street and Damon Fisher just trying to work it out as they get through towards 130R and seem to have gotten it sorted before they reach the Casio Triangle, but there is not a lot in it. I can't believe we're going side by side here at Troy Stone Street, and he's enjoying being out in front of this now because Mick Clifton's now pushed Damon Fisher out wide, and here comes Trav Daly. He's going to look up the inside as they come down this long front straight, and I don't know if Fisher's going to have the pace. He's alongside Clifton still. Gets the nose just in front and somehow managed to retain that position. Not a lot in it at all. In the background, Brian Borg has snuck his way up. He's up 8 positions now as he gets past Trav Daly around the outside, but that's not done yet. We've still got to make our way through the snake. And Ryan Palmer picking up a black flag there for the incident between his car and James Hardy on lap 1.
Yeah, well, not entirely sure what happened between himself and James Hardy. Not sure if we did catch that, but
I don't recall seeing anything.
He'll be pretty frustrated with the drive-through. This is side by side with Ernie Toth and Dave Galley, and there's a little bit of elbows out here. So we got our wish, didn't we, Jared Cole? Elbows out and a bit of biff and barge at Suzuka. It is well and truly on for young and old here up the inside. This is a tricky spot to go side by side, and they've had to resolve it before they get down to the second stage of these corners. I'm still trying to learn all the names, but he's going to maybe look up the inside into the hairpin, but defensive driving from Ernie Toth there. So he's trying to cover him off. Everyone's doing the same thing at the moment. Everyone's driving in the middle of the road because they're trying to cover off the car behind. And we've got car around. Who is that? That's one of the 266 Sims cars. Brad Hayes has had a little bit of a helping hand. Looks like they're in front. Jason Dunn's going to redress, so potentially contact between Brad Hayes and Jason Dunn there. And Jason Dunn has done the right thing and made sure he's redressed that position.
Chubby Buns replay. Let's have another look. We're focusing on Jason Dunn here. Is there contact? Does he just get it a little bit? Yeah, a bit of a nudge on the inside there. Just slight. Just a bit of a misjudgment of brakes, I think, from Hayes, and had to back it off a little bit further. And unfortunately, Dunn just didn't read that, gave him a little tap, and with the car already unweighted through the corner, it's so easy to get it spun around.
Yeah, it's so easy. It's absolutely right. So easy to get that car spun around, and Ryan Palmer in the lane to serve his drive-through now, so he'll lose a handful of spots. We're on lap 4 already, and Wayne Walker about 1.8 seconds up the road. And that lead is growing. So he is fairly comfortable. I think Jamie Dyke may have been right when he said that Wayne Walker probably wasn't showing his true speed in qualifying and that he could go faster. This is, we're watching Stephen Varga at the moment. He's under a bit of pressure from Troy Stone Street. So Vargas is maybe trying to set after Law McKee here to get himself up inside that top 7 and in line with his quantum teammate in Jason Bentz, but he's got Troy Stone Street for company, and Troy's not interested in just sort of hanging off the back of him. He looks like he's pretty racy here and wants to move. Stephen Vargas doing the best he can to make some inroads on Law McKee, but so far he's really probably looking for more back than he is forwards. This is Mick Clifton putting some pressure on Damon Fisher. So this is just outside the top 10. This is actually for the last spot inside the top 10. And Mick Clifton would very much like the pole position for the reverse top 10 with the feature race coming up. So if you finish in 10th in this race, you find yourself at the front of the field. If you're in 11th, you'll stay in 11th. So if I'm Mick Clifton, I'm certainly looking to try and get this overtake done on Damon Fisher very, very soon.
You're going to have to keep an eye on the mirror, though, because Brian Borg and Trav Daly behind, both very, very quick behind the wheel of a Gen 3 supercar. So he's going to be under just as much pressure from them, I'm sure, as he tries to reel Damon Fisher in ahead. A couple of little groups throughout the field here. This one, the battle for 7th, Lorne McKee, Stephen Varga and Troy Stonestreet, still absolutely locked in together. Neither of none of the three drivers actually managing to get away here at the moment. And this is the thing with Suzuka, as we see someone's run well off track there. I think that might have been Mark Poynton, actually, just up ahead. The Frog Leap Juice Racing entry has had a little bit of a bingle by the look of his front end. I'm not quite sure. Oh, there goes the front bar. So whatever's happened, it's finally happened there. And I think it might have been a bit of a touch with the wall when he went off track. We'll go back and we'll take another look. The Chubby Buns replay, I'm sure, will show us what's happened here. And it's a high-speed corner out onto the ripple strip. Oh, so look at that rear right wheel just drop off the ripple strip there, and that's completely unsettled the car. So that's what's brought that front bar into contact with the wall, and that's why he's lost it just further down the road.
Yeah, and that's super, super annoying that's happened, because that's never what you want in these cars. But it's so easy to lose a rear end, especially around here. The off-camber corners can really unsettle these cars, and unfortunately, we've seen a couple of victims of that this evening, and even like the lightest touch as well. You're looking at these guys here. A little bit of a touch-up between Rushworth and Capronis could just be enough to unsettle either of their cars. So they've got to be super mindful of who's around them and where the cars they are racing are on the circuit, because the last thing you want to do you spin someone or spin yourself, and then that's ruined both your race and their race. Up the inside, has a little bit of a look, Andrew Rushworth. There's a little bit of a touch between the two of them, it looks like. We've got a drive-through penalty for car 121, which is Jason Dunn, for contact with car 10. Which I believe is Brad Hayes. So that's the result of that earlier incident that has been sorted. And Andrew Rushworth is lost a spot to Jason Bentz in and amongst all of that, who's now going to try his luck with Jim Capronis.
Ben's going around the outside of the hairpin is surprising. I mean, halfway through, and these tyres they're going to be starting to really fall away. So to have the grip still to go around the outside, then he must have had a fantastic run under brakes. You can see how much the lack of the front bar is starting to hurt Poynton through these high speed sections. He just doesn't have the aero there. It's going to be slowing the car down. And he's going to just have to continue to defend as best he can through these turns. But he's obviously carrying quite a bit of damage. This has all of a sudden become a fair train now behind Jim Capronis. It's starting to really stack up. And Mark Poynton slowing these front three down is what's brought the next group into play here. But you can see in the background, there's even more people coming along to try and join in. Damon Fisher, ahead of Mick Clifton, Borg, Daly, they're all right there, and they're trying to close that 1 second gap to this group. Out in front, though, Wayne Walker has just, well, he's waltzed away with it at the moment. He's 2.5 seconds up the road from Matt Vanderkraan. Vanderkraan, to his own credit, is still 5.5 seconds ahead of this group headed by Jim Capronis. So there's a daylight between the top two and the rest of the field.
Yeah, this is where the battle is. You can see this is Lorne McKee now getting held up by Mark Poynton. It's so difficult to try and get an overtake through the S curves and in up through Dunlop curve. That is not really a spot where you can find a way to go too wide. And as we come into Dagna 1 and down towards Dagna 2 now, this is where you can set yourself up. So look at all the dirt on the road from the cars that have run wide and just dragged that gravel and grit onto the surface. And now into the hairpin. He thinks about it. He's gotten very late on the brakes. He almost went into the back of Mark Poynton there, which would have been disastrous. But Mark Poynton, he's driving defensively, and rightly so. He's not going to let this position just go. And then Mick Clifton lost a spot there to Brian Borg by the looks of it. And now he could be vulnerable to Trav Daly on the run up towards Spoon Curve through turn 12 into 13 now, the first phase of Spoon Curve. Trav Daly has to settle in behind for now. Thought about a switchback into the second phase of Spoon Curve in turn 14, but really not able to to make anything stick. He's got a nice run off here, though. A move into 130R would be extremely brave, but we have seen it done. He does pull alongside, so side-by-side, Law McKee as well gets that one done on Mark Poynton. In the background, it looks like there was a move between Trav Daly, but that's not eventuated. And around the outside goes Troy Stonestreet on Mark Poynton now and closes him off, which means that Stephen Varga is the next car in the queue to try and go for that overtake. So Law McKee, as a result of being stuck behind Mark Poynton, is now 1.9 seconds behind Andrew Rushworth, which they were really right on that train just over a lap ago. So you can really get the sense, Jared, of how much that car is struggling without the front bar.
Yeah, and I would think that there's probably more damage going on that we're not seeing that's really slowing Poynton down, because a loss of front bar will certainly create some issues in terms of top speed, but not what we're seeing from Poynton. He's usually a pretty quick driver out there and just cannot find any of it here tonight. So I do wonder just how much damage there's been to the front end suspension or similar. In any case, at this point, his only job is to try and hang on for another few laps and salvage something from this race. In the background, Brad Grant has run wide. That's going to cost him a few spots as well, as Dave Galley goes through. Jamie McKnight's looking for the opportunity as well. The two Chubby Buns cars almost come together, and Brad Grant sneaks back through ahead of Galley.
Yeah, he's put a lot of dirt on the road and a lot of gravel on the road through the S-curves as well, so keep an eye on that in the laps to come. That could bring a few cars undone if they do decide to go side-by-side. Speaking of side-by-side, Brian Borg and Damon Fisher through the hairpin, and it looks like Damon Fisher wants to come out on top of this one. Brian Borg's not done, though. Back up the inside through, that's, I believe, through 12. It is through 12, and he's actually got that done once again. So Damon Fisher, a wonderful move up the inside into the hairpin, but it just wasn't enough. Brian Borg running the high line. It's a little bit banked, that hairpin, which means running the high line, you can get the power down ever so slightly earlier, and that just really translates into your straight line speed and just the difference in these cars. So he's held on to that position for now. This is Stephen Varga has a think about an overtake on Mark Poynton into 130R, but he might have to wait for the Casio triangle into the final chicane to get that one done. He does go down the inside. Mike Poynton leaves him plenty of room to get that overtake sorted, and now he can continue to push on. And Brian Borg is the next car in the queue that has to try and get past a very, very wounded Mark Poynton, who is throwing everything he can at it, but he's struggling for pace and continuing to fall backwards, and he's now in 9th place, 6 spots down from where he started this race. The beauty of this is if Mark Poynton can only lose another spot or two, he's at the pointy end of the field for the next race. He doesn't want to fall outside that top 10.
Speaking of, movement within that top 10, there's not really been a great deal here tonight. We've been through some ups and downs, but Mark Poynton has fallen down to 9th. That's probably the biggest fall in the top half of the field, really. So that's really costing him here tonight. Brian Borg up into 10th, is up 10 spots from where he started. Now goes past Mark Poynton, so they're up into 9th, and it looks as though Damon Fisher's going to try and follow through, but can't quite get there. So Brian Borg's up 11 spots. Troy Stonestreet in 6th is up 5. Otherwise, though, Wayne Walker right where he started, as in Matt Vanderkraan. Benson's up 2. Jim Caparonis has stayed steady in 4th. Rushworth's moved up 1. Lorne McKee's steady. Stephen Varga's steady. So there's not been a huge amount of movement in that top 10, and that is the nature of Suzuka. Even though there are a couple of great opportunities, it's just can be very, very hard to capitalise on it and then hold on to that move, as we see a 10-second penalty coming through for Andrew Listener for some contact at some point with Brad Grant, and I'd say that's probably just a little bit further back. We'll go to the replay and take a look. That's Listener coming on the back of Grant. Is there a bit of a nudge here, I wonder, that sends Grant off track? And sure enough, there it is. Just collects the rear end and sends him off into the wall.
And that would explain why Brad Grant was off the road and dragged all the grit and gravel onto the road at the S-curves not that long ago. So that answers that question that we had as well. This is under brakes for Damon Fisher. Very late move to the outside. Mark Poynton is going defensive. He's doing everything he can to hold on to this last spot inside the top 10, but there's only so much he can do. But this that run through the Casio triangle has really given him a bit of breathing space and left Damon Fisher vulnerable to Trav Daly, who's sizing up a move into turn one now and thinks about it, but not able to. Oh, actually, I might eat my words here. He looked like he was going to carry a lot more speed around the outside, but not able to capitalize on that occasion. It's so difficult. You can carry more speed, but you have to scrub off so much more to get back onto the racing line for turn two. Turn one, it's a slightly banked corner as you run into it, and it's so tricky for a car to come unstuck there just in the change of flow, and you have to be braking while you're turning to really make it to turn two. If you want to carry enough speed through one but brake in time for two, you got to brake while you're turning, and that's a really easy way to unsettle the cars. Trav Daly looks fairly planted though. He's looking and searching for a way past the back of Damon Fisher, who's now closed back up to Mark Poynton again. So this little battle resumes on. Mark Poynton is the cork in the bottle for most of these cars. Once they get past, they're all really disappearing up the road, aren't they? They're not really sticking around for long, but it's just actually getting past Mark Poynton, who's making that Chevy Camaro as wide as possible.
Yeah, and look, Mark will be so thankful for the battle going on behind him, because it's taking the attention away from attacking him, and instead they're battling it out between each other as Fisher has lost one more spot. Now he's trying desperately to hold off Clifton through Spoon. He's just going to get his nose back in front, but Clifton looking very, very threatening as well. And don't forget, of course, Craig Schulz has kind of just snuck in there in amongst it all. Stephen Varga now goes up the inside of Lorne McKee. So had an awesome run down towards 130R and gets himself ahead before the triangle. The white flag is out for Wayne Walker. So Walker has already started the final lap. We are here looking at 7th place, and they're still just making their way around that final turn now. So a fair distance out to our leaders. Wayne Walker out in front, 7 seconds back to Matt Vanderkraan, and then almost 6 seconds back to Jason Benz. A very spread out top three, but they'll be pretty happy with that at this stage. The only one that might pose a bit of a threat is Jim Caparonis, who's, he's a good 9/10 off the back of Benz here, but he's still in touch. You can still see him, so it's not completely done yet. Side by side down the main straight, meanwhile, Scotty Perrins and Abel Verman trade positions. Perrins is going to be up the inside. Is there going to be contact here? A little bit of a nudge, but Verman does a great job to hold on to that. Perrins backs out of it. And Verman's just going to hold on to 22nd for another lap as Perrins and Hardy, the two teammates, get alongside as we get through the first of this back and forth twisty section. It's a never-ending series of S's here at Suzuka, and it's one that I don't think supercars particularly love, but these guys will manage it as best they can as we get on through. Yeah, Wayne Walker absolutely gone out in front. Luke Orman all over it. Let's go and actually check in on him, because we haven't really had a chance to see much of Walker since the start, as he comes through Spoon for the last time this race, looking very, very comfortable. So I don't think we'll have too many concerns about him finishing this one out in the lead. Matt Vanderkraan not too far behind either. But still, the battle's going on back here behind Lorne McKee. Have a look at this group fighting desperately for the last couple of places in that top 10. We'll have to make sure that we don't miss Walker crossing the finish line, because he's just about there already. These guys, though, we'll keep a very close eye on as we get towards the end of this race. Walker's just coming through the Casio Triangle now, and we'll see him around that final corner in just a moment. Wayne Walker will take the win here in race number 1, and not too far behind him. In just a couple of moments' time, we're going to see Matt Vanderkraan coming across the line as well. And Jason Bentz, just a little further back, will take third, just ahead of Jim Caparonis, Troy Stonestreet, and Andrew Rushworth, not too far behind either. And the rest of the field will come across pretty much in the order they sit now. You can see this line. Look, they were in amongst it, but have really spaced themselves out as they get closer to the finish line. One of the few remaining battles here. Todd Martin and Trav Daly take it all the way to the line, but Martin manages to hold him off. And look at them streaming across the finish line here, all pretty compacted at the end. Vince Salvatore and Brad Hayes have come together at the last moment. Ash Hall up ahead has a slowdown. He's going to have to clear that before he crosses the line. He's done it. Brad Hayes, I don't think he has. He's picked up a black flag, so that'll be a big penalty. That's going to drop him down, I believe, about 40 seconds, which is probably going to put him down into 34th when the official results come through.
Yeah, wow, that's It's really frustrating, I'd say, for Brad Hayes. This race, black flag very late. You can see there's something going on there in the gravel trap at turn 1 that I don't really want to think too much about what Ryan Palmer's up to in those supercars these days. But what a race for Wayne Walker. What a dominant performance from himself. And then on the podium, Matt van der Kraan. Those two really just sort of disappeared into the distance, didn't they? Not really battling with each other, but just sort of walked away from everybody else. And then Jason Bentz, a late overtake to get himself up onto the podium past Jim Capronis. So a great result for those top 3. And that's pretty much that's really our 3 big hitters in this series. Mark Poynton suffering damage in that race, which dropped him right onto 10th. But the good news for him is he's going to get pole for the feature race coming up.
Yeah, you take the positives you can find in it after a result like that, but he's managed to hold on just barely. So Wayne Walker takes the win ahead of van der Kraan and Bent. Jim Capronis comes home in 4th ahead of Stone Street, then Rushworth and Varga ahead of Lorne McKee, Brian Borg, and as he said, Mark Poynton rounding out the top 10 there. Craig Schulz and Damon Fisher just outside it with Mick Clifton and Ernie Toth behind them, then Martin and Daly ahead of McKnight and Brad Grant. Dave Galley and Andrew Listener round out your top 20. We take a look further back through the field. Rick Vigar finishing in 21st ahead of Abel Verman, then James Hardy and Scotty Perrins ahead of Glenn Boyce and Ryan Palmer. Troy Sipple and Ash Hall will finish 27th and 28th, then Vince Salvatore in 29th with Mick Rudd and Jason Dunn ahead of Hoffman and Rose. David Logsdale in 34th, and Brad Hayes finds himself in 35th to finish race number 1. So a pretty mixed bag. Surprisingly, actually though, nobody finishing more than a lap down, and that's not always the case, with damage and the like. So not a bad opening round for a lot of these drivers.
No, yeah, it's nice to see everybody finishing on the lead lap, even if it's, a minute and 38 seconds behind. We had a couple drive-throughs and a couple spins. So the fact that everybody, there was a bit of biff and barging like there was, but everyone was able to still finish on the lead lap is a great result. And hopefully in the feature race coming up, we might see a similar trend. Obviously a much longer race, over double the distance. But yeah, really excited to see if everyone can continue that trend.
Well, we've got a little way to go yet. The driver's just out on track enjoying a brief warm-up session or cool-down session or drinks break session or whatever you want to call it in the middle of the 2 races. We've got a few minutes to go before we'll be ready for race number 2. So we'll take this opportunity to just grab a quick word from our major sponsor. We'll be right back.
Providing the best for your family means a healthy, secure, and comfortable environment. But the daily risks your family faces are often invisible. Solar Gard performance films protect what matters most to you. While you're concentrating on the task at hand, we're protecting your family from uncomfortable solar heat, harmful UV light, and glare. Our window films and protective coatings are designed with decades of technical expertise and provide a vision towards the future. Solar Gard provides added protection to the places where they're needed most, creating invisible barriers for increased security. The people of Solar Gard design carbon-negative solutions that can help reduce energy costs and improve comfort. Allow us to tackle the invisible challenges so you can focus on the important things in life. What matters most to you? We're on it. Saint-Gobain, Solar Gard.
Welcome back to Suzuka, folks. We are just counting down to the start of race number 2 here. We've got 25 laps ahead of us, a reverse top 10 from race number 1, and to throw a bit of a spanner in the works, a couple of compulsory pit stops for the drivers to make tonight. Won't be any fuel concerns in amongst all of that, and I don't think we'll see stranger things have happened, of course, but I don't think we'll see much in the way of safety car action here this evening. The opening race proving fairly clean, even with the incidents that we did see, and the likelihood of a safety car seems pretty far from my mind, at least. Isaac, I don't know about you, but I'm not counting on it.
Yeah, look, I don't know. It's tricky. We say that every time because we get the sprint race and we don't have a safety car and we think, oh, we might get away with it, and then we have a major incident in the first couple of laps of fixed race and here comes the safety car. So look, I don't know. We'll keep an eye on it. I think it's there's always a chance that we could see it. There's always a chance we won't see it. But I think 2 compulsory pit stops tonight. A couple guys might be hoping that we do get a safety car, really just to help them with that compulsory stop limit and make sure that they can serve those stops and not lose too much of an advantage. So looking forward to seeing how those strategies are going to play. That's the big ticket for me tonight. Is who's going to do what on strategy?
Yeah, look, I'm going to put my money on the drivers that go for the undercut here. We already saw in race number 1 just how difficult it can be to get a pass done on track in the absence of any errors from the driver in front. I reckon look for an early undercut from a couple of drivers. They'll probably try it out, see how it goes through their first pit stop, and then that will really guide their decision on their second stop. We've got the grid now for you for race number 2 as the drivers start to make their way down to the starting grid. Mark Point and Brian Borg will find themselves on the front row here for race number 2, followed by Lon McKean, Stephen Varga, then Andrew Rushworth and Troy Stonestreet swaps positions in the middle of the pack. Jim Caparotis and Jason Bentz line up ahead of Matt Vanderkraan and Wayne Walker at the back of the top 10. So that is your reverse top 10 from race number 1. We look back through the rest of the field, and all is as they finished last time around. Craig Schulz and Damon Fisher on row 6, Mick Clifton and Andy Toth on row 7, then Todd Martin and Trav Daly ahead of Jamie McKnight and Brad Grant. Dave Galley and Andrew Listener take row 10, with Rick Vigar and Abel Verman just behind them. James Hardy and Scotty Perrins behind them in 23rd and 24th. Glenn Boyce and Ryan Palmer ahead of Troy Sipple and Ash Hall, with Vince Salvatore and Mick Rudd rounding out your top 30. Jason Dunn and Andrew Hoffman ahead of Craig Rose and David Logsdale. Brad Hayes in 35th and Tim Nicol in the Chubby Buns safety car will be in race control once again. I don't think he'll be getting too excited to get underway anytime soon, but you never can quite tell what's going to happen in a second race as everyone starts to find their feet here at Suzuka. We'll be back on cold tyres, but that won't take long to get back up to temp. And I suspect we'll have a few drivers that might want to get their way up through the field, perhaps a little faster than they did so in race 1. For now, though, we'll wait and see just who does get the jump on the start here. Point and Borg out in front. I don't know. I think we'll have to keep our eye a little bit further back. Vanderkraan and Wayne Walker are the ones to watch. We're getting a bit of chatter in the YouTube chat here. Looking for some stewards action on Wayne Walker. Maybe just I don't know, a little bit of extra weight added to his car is the answer here, guys. I know Luke and Phil have seen him race away from them plenty of times here tonight. And Luke Orban predicting a lap 1 stop for Madam Wayne.
And a very happy Ryan Palmer.
Yes,
Ryan Palmer he's batting sunshine and rainbows.
Absolutely.
He's having the time of his life out there. He's having so much fun. I challenged Ryan Palmer earlier this evening to a 1v1 race on iRacing at some point. So I'm sure this is just him getting his practice in for that, and he's having a fun time, I can tell.
He'll be starting back in 26 for this one, so he's going to need a very, very good start here to be able to get himself back up through the field. He's a long way off the pace for race number 2, but the good news is plenty of laps up his sleeve to get this done. So I don't know, maybe take a lap 1 pit stop, Ryan, and try for the massive undercut. That's about all I can offer. Well, if you want to go to the pub, mate, you've got to earn that one. So get to the end of 25 laps, and we'll give you permission. How's that? Last of the cars on the grid now. It's always pub time, isn't it? Always pub time.
It's pub.
Pub. Race number 2. Here we go. The revs come up. And we are away for race number 2. Coming on down the main straight once again. And we'll get on down into turn 1 as a very big pack. I must apologise. I've just noticed that we've had some issues with our audio, and I don't know whether that's just happened or if it's been going on for the entirety of race 1. But I'm hoping we should have some car audio back for you here, rather than just the dulcet tones of our voices to take you through this 25 laps. And already we're starting to see quite a few moves. Wayne Walker up 4 spots off the start. He is absolutely flying along.
He's got the elbows out early, hasn't he? Trying to gain position. We've got more elbows out. That's Ryan Palmer side by side in the background. In the bottom of your screen, I should say. He's just found his way past Rick Voigt. He is moving quick in this race for a track that he doesn't like, in a car he's not liking, and a driver that's complaining. But I can tell, we've got cars collided off the road in Dagna 2. That's the Chubby Buns, one of the Chubby Buns cars and one of the Quantum cars. Looks
Dave
like
Galley and James Hardy.
So there you go. So Dave Galley, James Hardy coming together on the entry to Dagna 2. We spoke earlier in race 1 about how hard it is to go side by side through that section of circuit, and that has really proved our point, hasn't it, early on in this race. But Wayne Walker up to 6 spots, so 4 spots gained so far for the championship. We've got a car facing the wrong way here, so someone has spun.
David Logsdale through the hairpin.
Is that Logsdale? So Logsdale's spun and facing the wrong way, so yellow flag's out for that. He'll get that car flicked around and running away again in no time. But other than that, the front of the field, it's a fairly orderly affair, fairly tidy affair at the start of this one.
Yeah, it's all looking reasonably well controlled, though. Ryan Palmer's trying a move on there down through the Casio Triangle for the leaders. Brian Borg and Mark Poynton have swapped positions, but still out in front for the pair of them. Palmer's obviously made that move stick in amongst all that. He gets past Todd Martin, and we start to get underway here on the race proper. Surviving lap 1 is, of course, just the start of the battle, as we see them come through turn 1 once again. We can see Matt Vanderkraan is into the pits lap 1, so there you go. It's not unusual from him that we would see that sort of a move, and I'm honestly not surprised.
And I call that doing a Vanderkraan.
That's absolutely what it is.
He's doing his usual strategy of let's get one of the pit stops out of the way. And I'll tell you what, if we do get a safety car here, then that's going to be a very big brain move. We saw him do it at the last round at Sebring. Came into the pits, and then a couple laps later we got a safety car, and all of a sudden he's already served his first pit stop, and he's able to go and jump a few cars. This is Troy Stone Street having a look at the back of Lorne McKee, so he's trying to put the Quantum car ahead of him under pressure before the Quantum car behind him really gets there. But now, as a result, Wayne Walker is now here and on the bumper of Troy Stone Street, going to look to the inside on the run to the hairpin. He's thought about it, but Troy went defensive, covered him off, and Wayne Walker has to sit in behind for a little bit longer, but he's in a Quantum Racing sandwich now, and I don't know how other drivers feel, but I certainly don't think I'd want to be in the middle of that.
I'm going to take you back just a step there, because McKee and Walker for Accelerate Sim Racing, they've got the Quantum cars outside of them, so I can only assume you're talking about a fairly stacked sandwich, and including the Quantum Racing cars.
Oh yes, no, you're right.
Both ahead and behind. Let's go with that. We're talking a triple decker sandwich here. It's a big sandwich.
It's a big sandwich.
Yeah, Stone Street's got Accelerate Sim Racing either side of him as slices of cheese, and then Quantum Racing in Stephen Varga and Jason Betts. Look, no matter, it's still that's where I'm heading after this race. I reckon you've just sold me on it. Wayne Walker has just had Jason Bentz shoot up the inside at the triangle. Now, the call from the chat is that Wayne Walker will come in this lap. He doesn't, Bentz does. So Walker will stay out. He's got his teammate Rushworth in behind. And we're starting to see some early pit stops happening here, and I don't think that's necessarily too fast to mark. Jim Caperonis, Southern Cross Racing, Chubby Buns at Burgers entry, has just set the fastest lap of the race at 2:06.4, almost 2/10 quicker than your current race leaders. Back further in the pack, we've got some height battles going on here. Glenn Boyce and Vince Salvatore getting into it all the way back in 22nd and 23rd. But yeah, quite a number of early pit stops happening. Dave Galley's picked up a black flag, and I wonder if that might have been for speeding on pit entry.
Very well could have been. He has been in the incident between
there you go. Okay, so
James Hardy. That's the lap 1 incident.
It would have to be, wouldn't it? Yeah.
That'll
be Dave Galley into the side of Hardy, and both ending up off into the gravel trap.
Off the road.
But what a time to get
I do want to I do want to throw a little theory out there, a bit of a conspiracy theory, if you will. I am of the belief that Wayne Walker very much wanted to pit on that lap, but was sort of hampered by the fact that Jason Bence was there and alongside him, and so couldn't really go into the pit lane. So Jason Bence has capitalised, just like Jamie McKnight's trying to capitalise now on the run he's gotten out of the hairpin. But I think we might see Wayne Walker in this lap potentially, because he was sort of blocked off there by the car of Jason Bence alongside him. So I think the Wayne Walker wanting to pit was absolutely spot on. He just couldn't because there was a car there.
Well, that's a big call, and if he ends up in the comms booth with us later, we might have to ask him about that one, I reckon. Todd Martin has picked up a black flag there, and it does look like a drive-through penalty, and we'll get an update on that in just a moment, I'm sure, as to the incident that is related to. So I'm just taking a quick look back. I can't see anything that...
Wayne Walker's in.
There it is, sure enough. So the early pit stop, absolutely the call for some of these front runners. A lot of the front of the field, though, continuing on and electing to split it up a little bit more evenly, I suppose. A big look up the inside there from Ryan Palmer, just throwing the car out to the side of Abel Verban and just trying to shake him up a little bit. Out in front, Brian Borg not walking away with it the same way Wayne Walker did. He's still got Mark Poynton going with him, and this is a much better race for Mark Poynton so far. He's quite enjoying not having that damage to carry, and he'll probably just try to stick this out for as long as he can, I reckon, and why not?
I think he's very grateful to have a front bar on that car now and be in a much better position this time around. That drive-through for Todd Martin was for contact with Brad Grant, and that was so that was earlier on in the race. And now we're looking at, this is Jim Capronis, who was the fastest car on the track not too long ago. That honour now goes to Matt Vanderkram with a 2:06.1. He's currently the fastest car on track. Crucially, Wayne Walker has gotten out ahead of Matt Vanderkram after those stops, so that's key track position held onto for Wayne Walker. Jason Bence has come out behind both of those guys. Up the inside now for Ryan Palmer on Abel Verban into the hairpin. Does he get the drive off the corner, though, to hold on to that position as they run through 12? Does not look like it. He's stuck back on the outside. He's going to have to try and hang there. Set himself up into Spoon if he can, but he's just had to fall in behind. He's right on the rear bar, though, so he could have a little bit of a look. He does think about it, and he goes for it into Spoon. There's a little bit of contact with the two of them as Ryan tries to run him a little bit wide, and Abel tries to turn back across, maybe to look for the switchback, but Ryan had parked the car there and was still, far enough back that Abel was not able to switch back across him, go back up the inside into turn 14 in the second phase of that Spoon curve, and that's up another spot for Ryan Palmer.
A lot of 266 racing love out there, 266 sim racing to be correct. Love out there for Ernie Toth, who's doing a great job at the moment, sitting in 11th. Whether he'll be looking for pit stops soon is anyone's guess. Looks like Jamie McKnight's coming in and will take advantage of hopefully a bit of an undercut here, but Ernie Toth will keep the foot buried. He makes his way down the Suzuka front straight towards turn 1. In the background, Ryan Palmer's got some work to do to make up that gap, and really the order is going to be all sorts of all over the place at the moment, but the interesting one for me is probably Matt Vanderkram at the moment as he gets around the outside of Craig Rose. He can see Wayne Walker off in the distance, but there's been just a little bit of slower traffic that's really made it difficult for him to stay with him. The gap now looks to be right on 3 seconds, so I don't know whether Vanderkram's going to be able to pull this back on this stint, and we'll have to really seriously consider what he does with the second pit stop and when he times that one for.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was just starting to ponder the theory. If we get a safety car anywhere from sort of now, but especially after lap 10, I would find it highly likely that those that have already had a pit stop will come in to serve their second stop, which means that there'll be a whole set of stops ahead of those that are yet to serve a pit stop. So I would think anywhere from here, I don't know how much of an issue fuel is going to be, whether how much of a factor it will play in this race as to whether anyone's actually really going to be stressed about fuel at any point with the 70% litre capacity. I know that was not a concern last week at Sebring, so a safety car now could be a huge free kick at some of these guys that have served that first stop. Stephen Varga, so up Troy Stone Street up the inside into 130R. That's a bold place to go for an overtake, but he's got it done, and he's up into third spot now. So that is the podium for Troy Stone Street in the early stages of this race. Stephen Varga not really putting up too much of a fight. I think he knows it's a long race. Mark Poynton into the pit lane. So the first of our real front runners in that sort of top 5 to come in, and it's Mark Poynton, Mick Clifton also diving into the lane.
And Ernie Toth, unfortunately, giving up a spot to not only Ryan Palmer, but also Abel Verban getting through there. It looks as though he might have had a bit of a moment. We'll go to the replay and have a look at this. Is there a bit of a slide here? Or is he just... no, it looks like he has gone very deep. Yeah, big brake lock up and bleeds the speed off. Gets it back on track, but unfortunately, just couldn't get back in time to shut the door there. Palmer goes through, as does Verban. So unfortunately for Ernie Toth, he loses a little bit of the run that he had. He's back into 11th for the moment.
Yeah, super unfortunate that he's lost a couple spots here, but again, he's going to look to find his momentum again now, settle back into a rhythm, and he can look for an overtake. This is Mark Point on our screen, so he's served the stop. He's come out behind Wayne Walker, which I think is crucial, because Wayne Walker was sort of behind these guys earlier on, and he's actually, Matt Poynton, sorry, I should say, battling for the lead of this race. So Wayne Walker could very well lead this race after everyone serves their first round of stops.
Yeah, he's gone that undercut and was already making a fair few moves as it was through the field earlier. So to see Walker out in front at the moment in terms of the corrected, let's call it, race lead, it's not super surprising, but there's still a fair gap out there. I mean, we're seeing times of around about 40 odd seconds, and that's been really key for Walker. His first stop was an absolute blinder, 36.3 seconds end to end in the pit lane, and only 13.5 seconds in the box. Contrast that with the 14, almost 15 seconds for Matt Vanderkraan in the box, and most of the rest of the drivers spending around the 20-second mark in their pit box. So Walker's done a blindingly fast first stop. Probably means though that he's going to have a little bit of a longer second stop potentially to bring on some more fuel. We'll have to wait and see how that one plays out, but the key thing for him is getting out in front and setting the pace from the front of the field. Keep your eye now on Brian Borg, who's in the pits, sitting in 8th as the field starts to make their way through, but Wayne Walker coming down across the start-finish line now. Going to be a hell of an effort for Borg to get out in front of him. He is on his way out of the pits now, and there he is. There's the exit. So Borg's going to come out, and looks like he's going to come out into effectively second place. Mark Poynton is 2 seconds back at the moment, and will have to really do some work to stay with it. So this undercut has been very, very strong in this opening stint. Really, though, it is down to the pace of that pit stop. Both Walker and Borg, very, very quick pit stops, a few seconds faster, at least, than just about anyone else on track. So whether they will pay for that later, potentially, is the real question.
Yeah, that's what we're going to have to sort of look later on. What is the question mark over why those stops were maybe a little bit quicker, but also Wayne Walker, he's just fast car on track. He is going on with it at the moment with the pace that he has, and he's... Oh no, he's gone! He's in the wall. That's a huge crash for Wayne Walker. I was about to say he's right in behind Jason Dunn, and he's unsettled the car on the curbs on the dirty side of the road, and that is massive contact into the outside wall, and that car is absolutely broken for Wayne Walker. The front end of that car has been torn off, the steering is broken, and that is a huge, huge hit for the man that is leading this championship and was in control of this race. We spoke about at the top of the broadcast how a bad round for him could open the door for someone like Matt Vanderkraan in this championship, and it's almost like we've been sort of, someone's been listening, and unfortunately for Wayne Walker, look at the steering on that. He is struggling to get that car to turn because that front end is just absolutely broken. Man, that was a huge hit.
It really was, and I had myself on mute as I grabbed that, but glad you saw it straight away there, Isaac, because that was a massive moment. We'll go back and take a look at that. I think he's just dipped the rear tyre off the edge of the course here. Just there, under power.
Oh, yeah.
Big hit, smashes the front end. The bonnet comes off, but have a look at that front end. That is badly damaged, and it's going to be a fair effort to get it back to the pits. It's going to cost him a lot of time, and more to the point, it's going to really probably throw out his plans in terms of the second pit stop. Have a look at, he's struggling so hard to get this car back to the pit lane. He's managed to get it there eventually. We've only just avoided a safety car there, I reckon.
Yeah, he's done well to get it back, avoid the safety car. Look, you could argue the safety car might be ideal for him to lap down waiting for a tow, so he's done well to even have the meatball flag. The steering on that is very much broken, but he's gotten it back to the lane. He'll serve his second pit stop. It's going to be a long ask to get home from here, but he certainly could still hope for a result. A safety car as well may go his way later in this race. Wide off the road, Todd Martin. So there's a couple cars struggling for grip in the exit of the second Dagner. And Todd Martin did well to keep it out of the wall there, running very, very wide. And I thought that was another hairy moment. We almost had two in the space of 2 laps. And that would have been absolutely disastrous. But Mark Poynton ahead of Brian Borg now. So Mark Poynton is in effect the effective lead of this race, which is huge. He's found a way past Brian Borg and in a very strong position. We'll have a look at this replay. This is the overtake that he did side by side down the front straight. And it looks like this is where he's got it done into turn 1, under braking, has turned it in and really just cemented that position. That's a lovely overtake from Mark Poynton to take command of this race.
Well, he's certainly making not wasting no time, making up for his race 1. That's for sure. Poynton out in front and realistically pretty well placed now to maintain that at least through this stint. The question is, what does he do with it? Ryan Palmer, the last of the drivers out there really to not have made a pit stop, with the exception of Todd Martin in 12th. So Palmer's going to enjoy some time out on his own in front for a little while, but he's going to have to come in at some stage to make his first pit stop. Just taking a look, Wayne Walker has gotten out of the pits. He is in 33rd at the moment. So look, we've seen bigger efforts from Wayne Walker in other races previously. It's not the worst comeback he's ever had to mastermind, but somewhere like Suzuka, when you're already 10 laps in, this is going to be a massive uphill battle for him. But keep that in mind, folks. 33rd is where Wayne Walker is now as he's come out of the pits. The question is, will he have enough fuel on board to get home? Probably. I don't think he's going to need to make another stop. So the second round of stops for everyone else, maybe this will just be a massive undercut, and he won't actually lose quite as much, given that he managed to drive it back not super quickly, but in a reasonable time. Maybe there's a chance here for him to still get a top 10 out of this.
Yeah, he's 2 minutes and 15 seconds behind the leader, so he's technically over a full lap, but that's Ryan Palmer, so he's 2 minutes and 15 seconds behind Ryan Palmer, who's yet to serve a stop. So Ryan Palmer's towards the end of the circuit. Wayne Walker's just not long come across the line, so there's about a third of a lap between the two of them. And there's a bit more space between himself and Troy Stonestreet. We know he's quick. We know he has a lot of pace. So what he can do from here is really all going to be up to him. He will be struggling at the end. We can see in the background, speaking of accelerate cars, it is side by side. Jason Betts, Mick Clifton, both getting sideways on the exit of Spoon. So they're both doing a bit of sideways Formula Drift work down on towards 130R, and Mick Clifton thought he might have been able to set himself up to get past Jason Bentz there, but the slide from both of them has cost a bit more time for Mick Clifton than it has for Jason Bentz. And Jason Bentz very deep under brakes into the corner. Does he go past Damon Fisher? He's forced him wide off the circuit. He's going to redress that position, but then Damon Fisher's actually fallen in behind. So Jason Bentz is now going to try and redress that, and it doesn't look like Damon Fisher's too interested in trying to go past him here. So this is a bit of a standoff between these two. It could cost them more time because Jason Betts is trying to do the right thing and say, no, I'm going to redress that. It was a bit of a late send. I think he just went a little bit too deep into the braking zone and as a result made contact with Damon Fisher. But Damon Fisher was not really interested in him trying to redress that, was he?
That was a really, really odd one. Getting some requests from the chat to see some details on the pit stops. Absolutely, Luke, happy to help. We can't unfortunately see how much fuel each driver has put in. Geez, I'd love to be able to see that. That would give us a world of interesting data. But to compare the end-to-end pit lane times on their last visit, there you go. Those times up on screen right now. So that will give you a fair idea of just how long most of these cars are spending in there. It's a really wide variety. We've got anywhere from 36 seconds or thereabouts was what we saw from Wayne Walker on his first stop, through to 50 odd seconds for some drivers. Walker's just set the fastest lap, so that's pretty indicative of the sort of thing we're likely to see from him, I think, for the rest of this race. He's just going to make the tyres last now.
Yeah, he's also starting to catch cars, so he's really flying out there on his own, but once he starts to catch cars, he's about 4 seconds away from the back of Mick Rudd. He's going to have a bit more work to do, and that'll probably cost him a little bit of time here and there, so he needs to start pushing. Into the pit lane is Ryan Palmer finally for his first stop of the race, so he's the last car in the field to blink when it comes to pit stops, I believe. I believe everybody else has stopped. They have. So he's the last car to say g'day to the pit lane. 5-second penalty for car 100, which is, looking at my numbers, that's Jason Bentz. So Jason Bentz contact with car 505, which is Damon Fisher. So that was the incident at the Casio Triangle. So Jason Bentz has picked up a 5-second penalty for that.
Yeah, and look, not massively surprising. It's not a drive-through penalty because he did redress that fairly rapidly. So it's kind of about what you expect to see. Ryan Palmer on the way out of the pits finds himself in 15th, just ahead of Ernie Toth, and a little way back from the action at the front end of the field. Wayne Walker still in 33rd for the moment, but is closing in on Mick Rudd. So we'll continue to keep an eye on that. Bearing in mind, of course, that Walker has effectively served both of his compulsory pit stops now. So he's got a relatively clean run to the end. We'll go back and we'll take a look at this, the incident with Jason Bentz and Damon Fisher. So Damon Fisher, the 266 Sim Racing, in the centre of his screen. Jason Bentz just goes very, very deep there, can't get it pulled up in time, and sends Fisher on a bit of an excursion across the grass there at Casio. Then yeah, a bit of a strange redress situation, but the Chubby Buns replay showing us how that all happened and why exactly Jason Bentz finds himself with a 5-second penalty, which will be added on afterwards.
Yeah, and super obviously frustrating, I feel, for Jason Bentz. He'll feel probably a little bit hard done by in that situation, but not much that he can do really. I've lost my vision, so I'm trying to get that back for you all so I can see what's going on. I'm running a bit blind here at the moment, Jared, but looking at the data on my screen, I can get a bit of a good idea of what's going on, and we're looking at this battle between Craig Schulz and Law McKee at the moment as my screen does come back up and I can see cars once again. I'm not flying blind anymore. And
it's a really nice battle. Vision,
I'm glad my eyes are still working. I'd be a bit concerned if my eyes stop working. I do have to wear glasses, but I don't think it's that bad. It's not that bad yet anyway. But Law McKee, he's trying to, I don't know, maybe he's trying to set Craig Schulz up to be under pressure from Andrew Rushworth here. They might be trying to work together, the two Accelerate guys. But man, Law McKee has been driving really well this season for a Cup Trophy driver. Loose. Craig Schulz, he's done well to catch that. I thought he was in the wall for sure. He's done very well to keep it out of the wall in that situation, but that would have been a very hairy moment, and I think maybe a change of underpants is needed for Craig Schulz, because I think like we thought, he probably thought he was in the wall there for a minute.
The good news is he's still got a compulsory pit stop to make, so he's got time to come into the pits and change the race suit over. And yeah, I suspect he might need it after that one. At the very least, those rear tyres are not going to be in good shape at all. They're going to have a lot of extra temp in him at the moment, so he's going to have to just tread carefully for the next little while he brings them back down to a more reasonable temperature. Scotty Perrins and Vince Salvatore battling it out for 18th at the moment, a fair way down through the field, but Salvatore's up 10 spots so far. Obviously a bit of change yet to come with second stops and the like, but yeah, he's moving up through the field. Brad Hayes is up 10 spots as well as he finds himself ahead of Brad Grant, 25th and 26th respectively for the two Brads. So they're not doing too badly. Brad Grant, of course, down 8 spots, has not had a great run. Wayne Walker, he is up to P30 now, so he's up 3 more spots, and we'll have to wait and see just how far up he can climb. Now, Todd Martin is in the pits with a meatball and has been in there for quite a while, as Andrew Rushworth and Lil McKeego side by side, the two teammates for Accelerate Sim Racing, just swapping positions in this 6th-7th battle, and the Cup Trophy driver McKee making way for his compatriot there, with a couple of other close battles following not too far behind the way into the triangle, and it's starting to all come together pretty closely. Andrew Rushworth just up ahead had a bit of a moment. They picked up a slowdown somehow out of that final turn, so must have found himself very, very close to that inside wall. I'm not quite sure what happened there. We might see if we can catch that as we go back on the Chubby Buns replay. Has there been something happen a little further back? Maybe no, he's just struggled on a little bit. Vince Salvatore looks like he's around and has recovered it okay, but no great damage there. I do want to see what happened to Todd Martin though, because he's obviously picked up quite a bit of damage. And oh wow, we've just caught the end of that there. He's hit that wall very, very hard, and although it hasn't registered,
spot. That's
I wonder if he's locked it up just a
130
little
on the
earlier.
Castro triangle.
We might go back and we'll try and go back and get a better look at this. He's had a big slide coming out of 130R. There you go. Drops the rear wheel off, gets that slide, overcorrects, snaps back, bang,
bang,
big hit. And yeah, I'm not surprising to see that car in the pits and needing quite a bit of repair work.
Tell you what though, I do want his magnetically attached bumper that just sort of detaches and then reattaches by the bungee cord that's on it. So that would be handy if I could get one of those for my Supercar, because bit of Velcro, some bungee cords, and it'll just come straight back and stick back on. But no, that's I can see why he's probably been in there for quite a while, because that is a fairly big hit, especially at the pace that he would have been coming through 130R. And the last thing you want in that corner with that such high speed is a snap of oversteer like he had to get that car sideways. So hopefully he can get that fixed, get back out there. But he's yeah, wow. Very big hit indeed. These guys will hopefully not have to suffer the same fate at any point. They are battling away though for the back end of the top 10. So it's we're looking at Jamie McKnight on our screen. He's got Mick Clifton and Abel Verban in front of him, and then Jason Bentz right behind him. Jason Bentz, I feel, has he served his second stop, or is he still? No, he's still a one stop.
We're just seeing the second stops from Borg and Vanderkram right now. So
there we go. It's the first of the second stoppers besides Wayne Walker.
Yeah, this will be interesting, right? Well, let's keep an eye on where Borg and Vanderkram end up. That'll give us a really good picture of just how far behind Walker will be. And unfortunately, the bad news is that the time getting back to the pits has cost him immensely. Vanderkram finds himself in 16th. Walker is still in 30th. So there's a much bigger gap than I probably initially expected there to be.
Yeah, it is a fairly sizable gap. Look, it's a fairly sizable gap in terms of pace. I would be interested to see. I think Wayne Walker's struggling a little bit for lap time at the moment. Those tyres are really starting to struggle. He has pushed those so hard to try and make inroads early on. He is still continuing to gain ever so slightly on the cars at the front of this field. They're doing 207s. He's doing 206s. He did a 206.5 on the previous lap. Plays a 206.7 and a 207.1 from Stone Street and Poynton. So he is quicker than the guys at the front of this field, but I just don't think it's quick enough to really start to try and gain too much time on these guys, and he still has to obviously navigate his way through traffic. So he will get maybe towards the back end of that top 10 as we get towards the end of this race, but it's going to be a big ask for him to be really at the pointy end of the field. So I think it's just damage limitation from here for him.
Yeah, and this is the thing, right? We were talking earlier about how his drop round being the 0 means that he really does need to be absolutely switched on. I think the people in chat have called it, as always, Luke Orman making the point that with Walker's pace he could still win this. Yeah, look, it's not impossible. There's no doubt about that. But with Van der Kraan and Borg coming out still another 10 or 12 places ahead, it's going to be a lot to happen. And more to the point, Van der Kraan we see coming through 130R now in 16th, and the gap back to Wayne Walker from here is 37 seconds. So even with the vast bulk of the field still yet to come in for their second stop, even though Van der Kraan and Borg will see all of those cars in between themselves and Wayne Walker come in for pit stops, there's still going to be a huge amount of separation. And you'll see this now as some of the other drivers start to come out from their second stops. Even they're going to end up a fair way ahead of Wayne Walker. Jamie McKnight coming out right now in 21st is still a good 54? That can't be right. There's got to be some catch up for our
some correction
here.
There, surely.
Yeah, so we'll wait and get an updated number there, but it does appear that there's a fair gap between Jamie McKnight and there you go, Wayne Walker, more like 22 odd seconds as that correction starts to come through. So there's a long way in this, as we see Scott Perrins now getting caught up to very, very quickly by Brian Borg, and I have no doubt that Borg will look for a move here on the way up towards the hairpin. He's getting alongside and he's going to look to go around the outside under brakes, and in fact Perrins not even going to try and contest that Borg, just too quick on the way into the hairpin, and away he'll go, leaving Perrins and Hardy to fight it out amongst themselves.
Yeah, he's just going to disappear into the distance and say thank you very much, gents. I'll leave you there and have fun. Don't take each other out, because I don't think the Quantum team will be too happy if there's a bit of contact between these guys. But obviously, we know what the Quantum guys are like. They'll race each other hard. They always do, and they'll keep it as fair and as clean as possible. And you know, they're performing really well at the moment, almost towards the front of this Cup Trophy class. I say that, but Lorne McKee is up into 4th place, which is really just leaps and bounds ahead of the other drivers. Rick Weigar's in 10th though, which is a great drive from him. He does have to serve another stop, but he's been driving brilliantly. So is Ernie Toth. Ryan Palmer moves up into 6th now, which is technically up 20 spots so far in this race. So he's been driving really well for a man that said earlier he does not like this track at all. So for a man that wasn't having fun about 16 laps ago, he seems to be having a fair bit of fun now.
Well, at the very least, he's driving aggressively and charging through the field, right? So it'll be interesting to see where he ends up after his second stop. Remember that Palmer was the last driver to come in to serve the first stop, so he's got the freshest tyres out there of the people who have only done the one stop. He's still going to manage to make some inroads potentially, but the gap right now, the gap right now to Ryan Palmer is almost 7 seconds back from the pair you're watching right now. So there's a lot of work to be done. I don't think we're quite decided yet. Mark Poynton has made his second stop, by the way, and looks to be the leader on corrected at the moment. He's ahead of Matt Van der Kraan. You can see Van der Kraan in the background there, just a couple of seconds behind. But Mark Poynton has absolutely made the best of this second race and starting at the front of the grid, and he is doing everything he can to hold on to that, and he tries to find a way past Trav Daly and continue moving up through the field. Ernie Toth from 266 Sim Racing in 7th is still hanging in there as well, so a few going on. The Quantum cars side by side. Stephen Varga goes past James Hardy, and as we say that, looks as though Poynton's going to go up the inside of Daly, just gets it done on the way out of Spoon, so he moves up into 8th on track, but still in the lead overall.
Yeah, he doesn't want to battle too much with these guys. It is for position, so they're probably going to make it a bit harder for him than he might like. But he's got Matt Vanderkruijm behind him, and really at the end of the day, that is who he's battling with position for. So he doesn't want to lose too much time to Matt Vanderkruijm behind him and leave himself vulnerable to a battle for this race probably earlier than he would like. We've got multiple cars in the pit lane. Andrew Rushworth, Jim Capronis, Craig Schulz into the lane, Lorne McKee as well, and Trav Daly all diving into the pits. So I think Mark Poynton might have been hoping Ernie Toth was also going to dive into the lane and make it a little bit easier for him to disappear into the distance, but he hasn't done so, and now Mark Poynton's going to have to do things the hard way because he's right on the rear bar of Ernie Toth now. This is for what would currently be third place, but on correction will be the lead of this race from what we understand from the maths that we've been doing at the moment. It looks like it's probably going to be a bit close between Poynton and Stone Street, because Stone Street's a good 40 seconds up the road, and depending on how long his first stop was, he could be out there in and around that. So look out for Stone Street when he does decide to come in and serve his stop, especially if Mark Poynton, I should say, still is behind Ernie Toth for much longer. He's losing a fair amount of time to Matt Vanderkruijm. There he is in the distance, and he's really trying to do what he can to get past. We've got multiple cars side by side here as well. Jason Bentz around the outside of Vince Salvatore. You've got Jamie McKnight, Mick Clifton, and Lorne McKee all involved in this one as well.
Well, big slide from Vince Salvatore, and that sends him wide. Just needs to get it back on track as quickly as he can. He's going to really struggle, though, as he finds himself in the gravel trap again. Just barely avoids contact there, and he'll drop all the way back down through. And a quick note, Luke Allman in the chat, I am just as confused as you are, my friend, but we'll carry along. Jamie McKnight and Mick Clifton ahead of Lorne McKee here, so McKnight under some fair pressure from the two Accelerate Sim Racing entries. Troy Stone Street comes into the lane now, so keep your eye at the top of the tower. Let's see where he comes out in relation to Mark Poynton, because that will really set us up for the run home. With 7 odd laps to go here at Suzuka in round 7, this battle is not over yet. Wayne Walker currently sitting in 20th position.
Yeah, Wayne Walker is he's doing everything he can. He's still in the 206s. He's pushing that car as much as he can. But I think, look, he's in a strong spot inside the top 20. He'll continue to move forward as Ryan Palmer and Ernie Toth come into the lane now for their final stop of this race. But I think that's pretty much most of the stops sorted. So there might only be another spot or two in it for Wayne Walker. The rest he's going to have to try and do on track. And he's got some pretty fast cars in front of him. Where are Ryan Palmer and Ernie Toth going to come out? Ryan Palmer at pit exit will leave the lane. He's going to drop in with that battle pack of Jason Bentz, Jamie McKnight, and Mick Clifton. There he is. He's going to drop in just in front of Jamie McKnight on cold tyres. Jamie McKnight going to try and hang around the outside. He's got the tyres that are up to temp. Ryan Palmer wants to hold on to that track position. He just needs a bit of time to get some warmth into those tyres, get them up to temperature, get them up to grip. Jamie McKnight sees the opportunity, has to pounce now with the tyre deficit that he may have. He's been out of these on this circuit for a few more laps. Pitted on lap 14, so he's got 4 lap older tyres. Once they come up to temperature, we've got Lorne McKee going up the inside of Mick Clifton. So that's another spot, change of position there for the two Accelerate Sim Racing drivers. And now Lorne McKee can set after Jamie McKnight and Ryan Palmer. But Ryan Palmer inside the top 10, up 17 spots in this race after those stops.
This is the guy that was complaining at the start of this race that he didn't like this track, didn't like it at all, just wanted to go to the pub. I can only imagine that he's decided that he just needs to get to the pub a little bit faster here tonight. That's the only explanation I've got.
If I finish this race quickly, I'll go to the pub sooner.
Yeah, I mean, he's not wrong, I suppose. He's just definitely one way to get there, I guess. Jason Dunn has had a big issue as well. By the look of things, we'll take a look at the Chubby Buns replay and see what's happened here. It's telling us that big slow. Oh, there's the pit wall, and I tell you what, that's pretty unfortunate. It looks as though not quite as much damage as it may have first appeared. Can he get it actually back to the pit lane from there? Though he can't. So that's not in a great spot, but he might manage to get that back around. It does look as though we do have, though, a little bit of movement in the pit lane. I've just seen Tim Nicol jump into the car, into the Chubby Bun safety car. I wonder.
Yeah, Jason Dunn stopped.
So look, yeah, he is still stopped there, so he hasn't been able to get that back.
This might be a safety
to the pit lane. that's not going to change a huge amount here, I don't think, if we do see a safety car actually called. And we may not yet, but...
I wonder, do we see... I wonder, do we see Wayne Walker jump in for a new set of boots if it is a safety car, potentially just to give himself a little bit more grip? Or does he stay where he is and just capitalise?
I don't think he can afford to come in. He doesn't have a huge amount of leeway anywhere at all. And
there we go, safety car.
There we go. So that has been called, and the Chubby Buns safety car will be somewhere in the next little while. Will be coming out ahead of Troy Stone Street, I imagine. So we'll wait and see just how this all unfolds. We'll see some of these drivers come in and maybe give it some fresh tyres on to try and pick up a couple of spots further down. But as far as Wayne Walker goes, he's in 19th at the moment. So even with the field being compressed up by the safety car, I don't think with 6 laps to go that he's going to get enough value from coming in here to override the fact that it'll take him, you would think, at least 30 seconds to get through the pits. If he does that now, he's going to find himself down into... Yeah, pretty much down into 30th again. So he can't afford to come in. He's just going to have to make the best of the field compression and start to make some really, really quick early moves. And I just don't see there being much of a way that it's going to change for him from here.
I will say the positive for Wayne Walker is that until he gets to Ryan Palmer in 9th, he's lapping faster than every single car in front of him at the moment, consistently. So he is quick, he's still got pace in those tyres, and hopefully he can put that to good use. We're looking at Troy Stone Street, who will be picked up by the safety car very, very shortly. I do believe the delay in that safety car being called was because of where Troy Stone Street was on track. Obviously, last week we introduced the revised safety car rules that race control couldn't call a safety car until if the cars were past a certain point, so they would have had to make the call sooner. So they had to hold off on making the safety car call until the leader was at a certain point around the track, and then they did call it as a safety car. And in behind the safety car they are now. So that's interesting to note, is that they it does appear they held the call just a little bit longer to facilitate that, and now they all get the opportunity to bunch right back up. So Troy Stone Street would have been feeling pretty happy. He had about a 5-second lead out in front from Mark Poynton. Now that's all gone away, and everyone's going to be right in behind once again.
Yeah, they will. And I'm just looking at this and trying to figure out who it is that's going to benefit most. I think Matt Vanderkraan probably benefits a fair bit because he was still a fair way off the back of Mark Poynton. And then the group around about Craig Schulz, Abel Verban, Rick Feigard, 13th, 14th, 15th, they were well back on the rest of the top 10 or 12 cars. So that's gonna really assist them, this bunching up. We're effectively going to have a 3 or 4 lap sprint home from here, so it's going to be an interesting finish for sure. I don't know if any of these drivers have enough left in their tyres to really make a huge push at this point. There's going to be some definite anticipation of the restart, and I think Stone Street's got an opportunity to really play some mental games here in terms of how he manages the restart when he is released to take control of the field. But Matt Vanderkraan, all he wants to do at this point is get home and try and maintain the position that he's in currently. Because if he finishes there, Wayne Walker's going to be finishing. You would anticipate Walker still picking up a spot or two as a result of this compression of the field and a result of this restart. I reckon Damon Fisher and Ernie Toth in 17th and 18th, they're probably sweating a little bit right now, knowing that Walker's going to be right on their tail. But you're still going to be talking about probably around 15 spots the difference between Vanderkraan and Walker, and that may just be what it takes to change the top end of this field a little bit in terms of championship standings.
Yeah, I think this is definitely going to be interesting as to what happens here. Can Wayne Walker capitalise enough that it doesn't really upset the flow of the championship for him too much. And can Matt Vanderkran either, does he elect to stay where he is and take the points that he's going to get over Wayne Walker? Does he try and push forward? The other driver that I'm excited about what they can do here is Ryan Palmer. Lap 17, he's got the freshest tyres out of pretty much all of the fields. Only Ernie Toth and Vince Salvatore and Troy Stone Street pitted on lap 17. So they're the guys out there with the freshest tyres at the moment. Ryan Palmer has had a lot of pace in this race. Whether he likes this track or not, he has been quick in race number 2 this evening. He has a golden opportunity here to gain a couple more spots and get himself well inside this top 10. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do, but I definitely think we're going to have probably 3 laps to go here once this safety car lets the field get underway again. It is going to be an all-out sprint to the finish line.
Yeah, it will be, and I imagine we'll probably see the safety car come in this lap, you would think, although we'll wait on confirmation of that from race control. But yeah, it really is going to be 4 laps of just absolute foot flat sprint to the finish. I'm a little concerned for what we might see on that restart lap. We know safety cars often breed safety cars. Is Suzuka the sort of track that might happen? I'm not so convinced. It's a little bit too flowy to really offer a huge opportunity for that. But turn 1 will be really telling. I think if anyone does decide to send a massive dive in there in turn 1, then that could cause a fair bit of carnage. It's surprising to see just how much the drivers are remaining spaced out. We don't have a super compressed lineup just yet, although I'm sure that will come as we get into the backstretch. It's giving Stone Street plenty of time to plan out his strategy here, though.
Yeah, and he gets to obviously be in control of this field, so he really has time to think about how he wants to attack this restart. How does he want to approach to really maximise what he can do, as we see that's one of the quantum cars unlapping themselves and getting back to the lead lap, so getting that lucky dog pass that a few drivers get. We've got a couple more cars that are coming through as well to go from being a lap down. So the lead, trying to look at who that is that's gone through.
Probably Craig Rose has just gone through.
Craig Rose and David Logsdale will now be going through as well. So a couple cars getting to get their lap back, try and get themselves maybe back into this race a little bit. Obviously a big ask from here, but they get back onto the lead lap at least, and you never know, anything can happen in these 4 laps. So if I'm Troy Stone Street, I've really just thought about long and hard, how am I going to approach this restart? Where's my go point here? Definitely on the other side of the Casio triangle. I do not want to be trying to do anything major on the entry to the triangle, but we'll keep a very close eye, obviously, once we do get this restart, as to what that looks like for our race leader.
Yeah, and I'm almost inclined to think that the best move for Stone Street here, and look, I think there's a bunch of different ways you could do this well, right? But the best move for Stone Street here is to really just slow the field down through that Casio triangle, that last chicane.
Yes.
And rather than booting it right out of the apex, just hold off for a fraction longer. And what you'll see, I reckon, behind him is a pretty significant concertina if he does that, which will actually cause a massive amount of slowdown for the rest of the field. It may not hold off Point and Vanderkran quite so much, but if it gives them a nice gap to Borg, to Varga and everyone on from there, then that's job done. You know, you've only got a couple of people to worry about for the remainder of this race, as we get confirmation the safety car is coming in this lap. So Stone Street is about to show us what he has planned as we make our way through to the Casio triangle for this restart. I don't quite know what I'm expecting here. When do we think he's going to go?
That is the question that we are going to ask ourselves. So Tim Nicol back into the pit lane. The field is under the control of Stone Street. When does he elect to go? And there it is. There's his go point on the exit of the Casio triangle. He has gassed it. He's not wasted any time, and Mark Poynton has gone with him. So they've broken away from this lead group. Mark Poynton was open and away to it at the restart. They have left Matt Vanderkraan and Brian Borg in their dust. Matt Vanderkraan's going to have to go defensive into turn one, but we have our first restart of the race. Brian Borg having a think about it, look up the inside on the way into turn two. They all get fairly cleanly down towards turn one. We've got a couple cars side by side as we roll through for the first time under green flag conditions. Brian Borg, Matt Vanderkraan still side by side through the S-curves. They're going to have to sort this out pretty soon. It's going to lose them a lot of time to this front group. These two at the front, Mike Poynton and Troy Stonestreet, have really broken away on the restart here. They have absolutely nailed it. Troy Stonestreet really just nailed his go point. Mark Poynton was awake to it, went with him, and these two have been left to battle it out for the last spot on the podium. It's going to go the way of Brian Borg as they come into Dagna 1 and in towards Dagna 2. They've got it sorted out now. Matt Vanderkraan has to settle in behind. That is a great start for the two drivers at the front of this field, and also for Brian Borg, who's capitalised and got himself on a...
Yeah, but don't count Vanderkraan out just yet. It's still not done yet. Vanderkraan's managed to get himself back alongside. Now he's going to be on the outside as they get to Spoon. Whether or not he can manufacture something from here will be a big ask indeed as we start to make our way through. He's going to try and go around the outside of Borg. He's managed to hold it in there. They're side by side all the way through. Borg just comes out in front. Vanderkraan, though, still hard on the power. He's right on the tail of Brian Borg as they make their way down the back stretch, leading this very, very big group of cars. The front two have absolutely monstered away. 3.5 seconds the gap now for Troy Stonestreet and Mark Poynton. They're going to continue to pull further away as these guys battle out. So Vanderkraan settles back in behind. We see them start to bunch up on the way in as we get already a few challenges happening through the Casio Triangle. Ryan Palmer's right there. He's in ninth, up 17 spots so far this race. Jamie McKnight behind him. Further up, Stonestreet and Poynton are starting to come back together. Poynton is slowly but surely clawing away at the lead that Stonestreet has built so far. So this one's not over yet either. But I just cannot see any way in the next couple of laps that these guys are going to be caught. As long as they don't come together, this is your 1-2 right here.
Yeah, they will battle, and we've just seen the effects of what can happen if you're battling for Brian Borg and Matt Vanderkraan. So this very well could go the way of Brian Borg in the late stages of this race if they get caught up battling too much. This is Wayne Walker, the man that leads this championship. He's had a difficult race, got caught out on the curb in the early stages of this race, had a massive impact with the wall, got the car back to the pit lane, which was a wonderful effort to stay on the lead lap, has repaired the car, but now has it all to do. He's all over the back of Ernie Toth, who's on brand new tyres. He's got the freshest set of boots in the field, does Ernie Toth, and he's going to make this as hard as possible for the defending champion. He looks up the inside of the second stage of Dagna, but not able to make it happen. And again, this is where he lost the track. He did cop a slowdown as well, so he's gone wide somewhere, and he has to try and scrub that off, which is going to affect him even more. So that is very, very frustrating for Wayne Walker. He's doing everything he can to try and get spots, but it's just not going his way at the moment.
No, it's not. And spare a thought for Matt Vanderkraan, who's probably watching pretty closely at the moment to see whether he can see Wayne Walker on his relative at the moment. He won't be able to, so he won't be too upset at the moment. He is not able to stay with Brian Borg at this stage, and Borg's unlikely to catch that front two. But Vanderkraan's job here is to bring it home safe. It doesn't really matter a huge deal whether it's third or fourth or even fifth if Vargas does manage to get a pass done, but he needs to get home safely here and take full advantage of Wayne Walker's misfortune tonight. Only really another couple of laps to go here. This is the penultimate lap. They're starting now. They'll get the white flag next time by. Troy Stonestreet, Mark Point, you can see just off the front of your images there as they make their way. Now Ryan Palmer's going to try and move on Jim Caperonis here. He's up the inside as they come to turn one. He's going to squeeze all the way down and really make his presence felt there. He's going to maintain the inside. Caperonis is going to have to stay to the outside. That's going to cost him time. It's going to cost him pace. And Palmer moves up another spot. He's into 8th.
That's a lovely piece of racing between these two. Jim Caperonis isn't done with it yet. There's a little bit of contact. Ryan Palmer is off the road, and Jim Caperonis tries to redress that. He's caught up a little bit. Jamie McKnight's going to get himself involved in this now as well. And there's contact between Caperonis and McKnight, and that has cost Caperonis more spots. And now Law McKee's going to go through. We've got another. That's the Mick Clifton in the background that's around after contact with it looks like Craig Schulz. And Abel Verban and Trav Daly are going to capitalise. It's all happening here. Up and down the field, there is contact to plenty. The gloves are well and truly off Jared Cole. There is not a car on this circuit that is not trying to pass another car or defend a position from another car at the moment. Everyone is looking forwards and backwards. Wayne Walker is all over the back of Ernie Toth once again. No slowdown this time, so he's trying to capitalise as much as he can, but it is all happening. Got Dave Galley gaining a position. I think that was Glenn Boyce that lost a bunch of spots there. He's losing even more time, so Glenn Boyce has had an incident. He's losing so much time. That's off the road. For Mick Clifton, he's run wide. He's going to lose more spots to David Fisher and Craig Schulz. He's now going to lose another spot to Rick Vigar. Wayne Walker's finally got ahead of Ernie Toth, and now he's going to try and capitalise on his teammate in Mick Clifton. It is all happening here. We only just have a lap to go. The battle for the lead is still raging on, but there's so much happening up and down the pack.
It's hard to believe that in amongst all of that action, nobody's actually come off the road, and it's only picked up one spot for Wayne Walker. He would be frustrated. Look, 2 spots now with Mick Clifton giving way to him there, and I doubt that there was a great deal of decision to be made there. Clifton allows Walker through, picked up an extra spot, but somehow everyone's managed to stay on track, and they've not lost any positions through all of that. So Wayne Walker's still battling out. He's going to try and take this to Rick Vigar. Vigar forces him all the way to the wall and maintains the inside into turn 1. So Rick Vigar absolutely taking it to the defending champion, and a big slide there for Vigar. Manages to get it under control, but gives the spot up to Wayne Walker, and he's back the other way. A little bit of a nudge there, and Vigar is around. Unfortunately, his fantastic night is going to come to an end there effectively. He'll get back on track, but it's going to cost him far too many positions because we are already on to the final lap.
Yeah, and he's trying to get going. Maybe he's stalled it there, which is why he's struggling to get going a little bit. But this battle still raging on at the front of the field. It's Stone Street and Poynton. There's not a lot of time for Mark Poynton to try and get this done again. He needs to maximise his run off of the hairpin here. Stone Street goes defensive into the hairpin, which means that Mark Poynton has to take the slightly higher line. It set him up for not the best run out of the hairpin, down through 12 and 13 in towards the spoon curve for the final time. These guys are so close to a line astern. There is nothing in it between the two of them into spoon. Can he get the run off of the spoon curve down the back straight into 130R? This is really his last crucial moment. He needs to have the better drive, and I don't know if he has. I don't know if he's going to be close enough. He's in the slipstream, but is it enough into the Casio triangle for Mark Poynton? I think Troy Stone Street might be safe.
Yeah, barring anything major here in the last couple of corners, Stone Street is going to bring this one home. It's been an eventful final race here tonight at Suzuka, and I think these guys will be very happy with where they've ended up as a result. Troy Stone Street will come across the line in first place. Mark Poynton right behind him. Jason Bentz has just picked up a black flag in the background, and Barron Borg crosses ahead of Matt Vanderkruijs. Then Varga and Bentz will come across the line, but Bentz is going to drop right back through the field. Ryan Palmer crosses the line up 19 spots in 7th place. That will actually be an extra spot when you take into account that Jason Bentz will drop further through the field. Abel Verban just misses out on taking Andrew Rushworth by 1/100th of a second in the end. Nothing at all in it. We had a pretty messy final lap there for a number of drivers. Vince Salvatore is going to come side by side at the end with Trav Daly, and I think Daly's just held on to that. Only just.
He has.
But he's managed to hold on there for the end, and wow, what a way to finish this one off here at Suzuka.
What a finish to that race, and yeah, it seems Wayne Walker up to 14th in the end. So very much trying to damage or limit the damage that he had as a result of that incident. And I'm not, it sounds like there was a little bit happening on that final lap for multiple drivers up and down the field. Troy Stone Street, he was pushed all the way by Mark Poynton, wasn't he? But it is a wonderful drive from the WKMP Team Sports driver today to get the victory, and I believe his first victory for the season. And this is what happens. This is a bit of contact between the 100 car Jason Bentz and one of the Accelerate Sim Racing cars.
Andrew
and
Rushworth's
that was, I believe,
Andrew
Rushworth, and I believe that's what the black flag was for.
Yeah, and I think that's I think that black flag might have actually been an incident limit for Jason Bentz at the last minute. Then Vince Salvatore and Brad Grant, I believe, came together as well. This is Salvatore and Grant on the way to Casio. Brad Grant has a big look up inside, but a lock up. That's going to send him just a little bit long into the back corner of Salvatore. Salvatore manages to stop it, but middle of the track, he has to get it out of the way. And those two got themselves sorted out in reasonable sort of time. But tell you what, nothing like a late safety car to bring on a big finish. And we will take a look at the results as they come through in just a moment. And this is how it finished up for the final race here at Suzuka. Troy Stonestreet takes the win, 2 and a bit tenths, almost 3 tenths ahead of Mark Point. Then Brian Borg and Matt Vanderkraan coming home behind them. Stephen Varga ahead of Brian Palmer, who finishes in 6th with Jason Bentz's last-minute black flag. Jamie McKnight picks up 7th. Lon McKee gets 8th ahead of Jim Capronis, and Andrew Rushworth rounds out your top 10. Then Verban and Fisher ahead of Walker, who finishes in 13th after the black flag for Benz. 14th for Ernie Toth and Troy Sipple in 15th. Then Mick Clifton and Scotty Perrins ahead of Craig Schulz. Andrew Listener and James Hardy round out your top 20. We look a little bit further back through the field. Andrew Hoffman and Brad Hayes in 21st and 22nd. Trav Daly finishing in 23rd ahead of Salvatore and Grant. Then Ash Hall and Mick Rudd with Rick Vigart picking up 28th. Jason Bentz finishes in 29th after that late black flag, which really just shows the impact that can have coming out of a late safety car period. It's cost him a lot more spots than it would have had the field been more spread out. That is really unfortunate for Bentz. Glenn Boyce in 30th ahead of Dave Galley and Craig Rose. Then David Logsdale, the last driver on the lead lap. Todd Martin finishing 3 laps behind with that damage, and Jason Dunn also out a fair way from the finish, finishing up in 35th here this evening. But the night belongs to Stonestreet, Poynton and Borg, and we might start off. I'll hand over to you, Isaac, to have a chat to third place. We welcome Brian Borg to the booth.
Hey mate,
Yes.
how you going?
Brian, welcome in, mate. First of all, congratulations. That's the late safety car really brought you and Matt Vanderkraan back into that, but then on the restart, you guys were battling away. It looked like a really good battle between you guys, and very clean, but you came out on top in the end.
Yeah, I think it was nearly a full lap of side by side, but always good racing with Matt, and I think we touched a little bit side by side, but that was all good, and yeah, it was good fun.
Yeah, and we'll talk to us about the strategy this evening. You went for the, obviously everyone had to serve 2 stops. Was it always the plan to go for that first stop early, or did you sort of adjust your plan based on what everyone was doing around you? Obviously, it looks like you had a lot of pace out there. What was the was there any adjustments that you had to make throughout the race, or was it sort of the plan you had at the start was what you stuck with?
To be honest, I was a little bit off the pace. I literally turned on the computer. First laps was qualifying tonight, so I haven't been on the sim, so I was on catch up the whole night. I think my fastest lap was this on the restart, the lap after the restart.
Yeah, well, it's, you certainly did look pretty quick out there, and obviously a podium, so it's good to stand on top of the podium. Obviously, we look forward to the rest of the season. We've got, I believe it's Miami next week. You're looking forward to getting out to Miami? Is it a circuit that you've done too many laps in, or is it a relatively fresh circuit for yourself?
Haven't turned a lap, and I guess I better start practicing for it.
Well, we look forward to see what you can do at Miami next week. Before we let you go, is there anybody that you'd like to say thanks to, give a shout out to, and yeah?
Yeah, just a big shout out to my sponsors, My Stain Mods, Racecraft Simulations, Herod Performance, MP Concepts, for everyone who's just been around for a very long time, yeah, and you guys for doing the broadcast, and yeah, thank you guys.
Well, thank you, Brian. Appreciate you jumping in and taking the time to have a chat to us, and we look forward to hopefully a couple more chats before the season comes to an end.
Yeah, too easy, guys. Thanks, man.
Brian Borg there takes P3 in race number 2 here tonight, and we're joined now by second place goes to Mark Point. Mark, it's been a little while since we last got a chance to chat to you, mate, but welcome back to the booth.
Thank you very much. Yes, a little bit of redemption after the first heat race.
Yeah, we were talking about that a fair bit throughout race number 2 there, that you were certainly making the most of the reverse top 10. Just how much of a struggle was it to bring that car home and keep it in 10th in the first race?
Yeah, it was severely damaged, so yeah, quite tough. That was the main goal. I did let some guys through, and I wasn't going to be the guy that fought too hard to hold everybody up, but the idea was to at least see if I could stay inside that top 10 to make race 2 a little bit easier.
Well, he certainly made the most of it, and in the end, the lead just not quite able to be pulled back from Stone Street. It was just too quick out in front by the looks of things, but it was a heck of a battle to watch right throughout, and I think the recovery, considering what happened in race number 1, nothing short of a pretty impressive effort, mate. It's been one that we've enjoyed watching here tonight. Tell us the late safety car. How much did that put any additional pressure on in those last few laps?
It was a bit of a help for me. I mean, Troy had quite a decent lead out the front, so it enabled me to, I guess, catch Troy and get on the back of him after the pit stop cycles, but it also allowed Brian and Matt and the rest of them to come in behind me. So I was happy to have caught Troy, but concerned with 2 extremely fast guys in Brian and Matt right behind me. But I think from what I could see, they started battling each other, which allowed Troy and I to sort of get away a little bit.
Yeah, they absolutely did, mate, and I hope you enjoyed watching the broadcast back, because they had an amazing side-by-side battle, which was not only great fun to watch, but awesome news for both of you out in front. So a very well-earned and hard-fought second place here tonight in race 2, mate. Congratulations. Before we let you go, anything anyone that you'd like to say hi to at home, or indeed any sponsors to thank you tonight?
Oh, look, thank you to you guys, to the league admin, and you guys. I watch the broadcast after every race, and you guys do a fantastic job. And then from a team perspective, Juiced Energy, Formula, Racecraft, Blue Stampede Labour Hire, and Tailored Consultancy Services, and Stodhor. They help us get on track and do what we enjoy doing each week.
Been a pleasure to chat to you once again. Hopefully one more time, or maybe even a few more times before the end of the season, hey?
Fingers crossed, mate.
Well done. Cheers, Mark.
Thanks. Cheers, Jared.
Mark Boyne picks up a P2 in the final race, and that, of course, brings us to tonight's winner, taking out race number 2. It is Troy Stone Street, who joins us in the booth now. And Troy, it was a pretty interesting race from our perspective. How did it feel down on track for you?
It was going quite well until the safety car. I was quite comfortable, and then I didn't need that. I was like, he's way off the track, we should be right. And it was like, nah, I knew they were going to bring it out just to make it exciting at the end, but that was good. I kind of, first stint was watching guys peel off into the pits, and I finally got some clean air and thought I might as well go against the trend and stay out, and it kind of, that was the sort of the strategy that sort of worked out well in the end.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to lie, I might have slipped a $20 note under the door to race control to bring that safety car out and just give us a nice tight finish. So no, mate, it wasn't ideal in the end, but that restart was something else. You got a huge jump on the field. Is that what you expected when you put the foot down? Were you thinking you were going to get away that well?
Well, I knew being in that chicane, if I got a gap there. Mark did well. Mark stayed quite close. But yeah, I knew that chicane was going to bottle people up if they couldn't get on the gas straight away. So it was always the thought to go as early as I could out of that last bend. And then credit to Mark though. He stuck it there for them last laps. He had me sweating.
Well, I'm glad he took it to you as best he could, but in the end, mate, too strong and a great result to finish off what was a pretty interesting night of racing here at Suzuka. Unsurprisingly, a late safety car always makes for a fun sprint home. Before we do let you go, anyone you want to say hi to at home, mate, or any sponsors to say thanks to?
No, you're just thanks to the team. Thanks to Johnny Van Reef for jumping their spot, and he was, I think he was sweating as hard as I was towards the end there, trying to kick me home. But and yeah, thanks to all the sponsors. We've got a big list. I won't go through them all, but just WKMP and Croc Promotions and yeah, all them guys for helping us out, and thanks to the teammates and you guys for running the league, race control, and obviously all the other competitors. It's normally a pretty clean, fair, hard but fair league to race in, so it's good fun. Thanks.
Pleasure to chat to you tonight, Troy, and thanks for dropping by, mate. Congratulations on the win.
No worries. Thanks, guys. Good on you.
Troy Stonestreet there takes the win in race number 2, and that will cap off a pretty interesting night of racing. I am curious to have a bit of a look at some anticipated points here, Isaac, and see just what this might look like. And we've got the latest update. I don't know if I was expecting more change out of this tonight. It certainly looks like it'll chip into Walker's lead, but Vanderkran's still got a lot of work to do across the rest of this season, doesn't he?
He certainly does. It's less than 100 points now, but 3 rounds to go. And Wayne Walker, he's not going to make that mistake twice. So this is really a big task for Matt Vanderkran tonight, from tonight moving forward, for 3 rounds to go. And look, I will say, they're not necessarily 3 super easy rounds either. We've got Miami next week, then the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve the week after, and the finale in Adelaide. So 2 essentially street circuits, and the Gilles Villeneuve in Canada is also a pretty tough circuit. So it's going to be Matt Vanderkran with his work cut out for him from here. Wayne Walker really needs to keep it tidy and hopefully out of the wall for the next 3 weeks to bring home this championship. But I'm really looking forward to seeing how these guys go from here, because it's really getting exciting.
Well, make sure you don't miss any of the action, guys. Do get tuned in over the next few weeks as we bring the last rounds over the season here with the Alliance Sim Racing Solarguard Supercar Championship to a close. We've still got 3 weeks to go, so do make sure you tune in again next week. We'll be back on Monday night with more racing action. The MC Motorsport MC V8 series will be back on your screen, so don't miss out on that. And of course, Tuesday night brings on Miami. It's a new track, and the first time that we will have seen the Gen 3 supercars getting around it here on Simple Racing Broadcast, so it will be a very, very interesting one, I'm sure. The true street circuit that Miami offers, I reckon probably a fair number of safety cars is my prediction, but we'll have to see how it all plays out. A huge thank you as always to Solarguard St. Gobain as our primary sponsors here for this season, as well as Quantum Tint Solutions and AA West Automotive, and of course Chubby Buns Burgers, Nicol Photography and 24/7 Sim Services for their support of this league. It's been great to have you all along once again here this evening. My name's Jared Cole. On behalf of Isaac Fogarty and everybody else at Simple Racing Broadcast, we thank you so much for coming along with us for another fantastic week of racing. Until next time, it's goodbye for now.